Okay. So in our yesterday's class, we looked at some of the commonly used terms in the IT industry and that you guys will also be encountering as part of your role in as a business analyst. So some of these terms that we looked at were statement of work, okay, scope, which is defining boundaries, change request. This is the official request that comes in from the client for making any type of changes in the existing product. Elicitation, that is adding details to the requirements to ensure that we have the requisite details before the development team can actually start coding. Business rules, these are the set of rules, policies, procedures, guidelines, whatever you may want to call it out, that will decide how a particular business operation should be performed. Okay. Then we have the concept of environments or regions which promote the parallel development. Then estimations, okay, that is measurement of the work, okay, how much time the work is going to take. Change management is the act of managing changes or basically managing the entire STLC process during the product development. Then we looked at some of the key people that could be involved, for example, stakeholders, SMEs, consultants, technical architects, dev lead, test lead, and what could be called as a defect, bug, or issue. Okay, so that was briefly what we covered yesterday, some of the commonly used terms. Okay, now today what we will do is, with this knowledge in hand, we will understand one more thing, and that is about the types of IT industries. Okay, again, just trying to build the base over here. So we will try to understand what are the different types of IT industries that are available. Okay, how do they differentiate from each other? What type of work they try to do? Okay, so majorly, and again, this classification is not on the basis of number of employees in the company. Okay, irrespective of number of employees in the company, the type of work that could be done is more or less the same. So this is the classification of the work that the company does. Okay. So the first one is actually a product based company, and the second one is called a service based company. Okay, so in today's class what we will try to see is what these two companies are, what is their core business model, how do they differentiate from each other, and what could be the different expectations from business analysts in these companies. Okay, so let's take product based company first. What happens in a product based company is they identify a problem. Okay, so for example, if you take a look at Paytm or Swiggy or any of the recent days startups, even bus ticket app, for example, we have Redbus over here or similar kind of apps. So what these companies do is they identify a problem area in the existing market. Okay, so the first step is identifying problem statement. What is the existing problem in the market? For example, in the case of Red Bus, what they identified is, if you want to book a bus ticket, okay, if you want to book a bus ticket, all you have to do is you have to travel to the bus stand. Now, when you travel to the bus stand, there is no guarantee that you will get the ticket. Okay, if seats are available, you will get the ticket. If seats are not available, you may have to find another bus. Maybe you will have to wait for more time for the second bus. Or if the tickets are not available, maybe you will come back, or maybe you will travel to bus stand 1 or 2 days in advance so that you can get the tickets for next day or the day after tomorrow. Okay, so they identified that this is not a very pleasing experience. Customers would like to get to know on a real time basis if a seat is available or not. If it is available, then book it. Okay, so first thing that they do is identify any problem statement. Now, it could be a problem statement or it could be a way to improve existing processes as well. Okay. Now, once you identify the problem or the improve an area for, sorry, I identify a process that can be improved, then what you do is you build a product around it. This is your solution. So basically, build a solution is nothing but building a product, a software, okay, that the general public can use. Now, once you have built a solution or a product, then what you do is you start marketing it. That is, you start advertising for it. You ensure that the product is reaching to the audience for whom it is intended to build. Okay, then once you start marketing it, then depending on your business model, you can charge the users, or maybe let's say other operators. Like in case of Redbus, what will happen is you will be charged a small internet handling fees, and some commission will be taken from the bus operators as well. Okay, so that's how they will be making money, but that depends on the business model as well. So you have built a product, now you started marketing it, and when people are using it, then you start charging some fees. Okay, now in this case, what typically happens is the company who has built the solution actually owns the product. Okay, the company owns the product, so they get to decide how the product will look like, what all different features should be there. Now, obviously, they can take feedback from the customers. Like if customers are complaining about particular features not working, or if customer is giving any recommendations about improving the app, then the company definitely takes into consideration all those feedbacks. But this still, the ownership of the product lies with the company that is building it. Okay, so you would see lot of antivirus related products. Okay, so another example is all the antiviruses that we use in our laptop, desktop, or even to our mobile phones as well. Now, when you use these antivirus products, again they identified a problem that with the usage of with the increased usage of internet, there are a lot of people who are trying to do mischievous activities like install a virus on someone's laptop or computer so that they can then extort money out of it. That if you want your laptop to be cleaned, then give us this much amount of money and then we will remove the virus from your laptop. Now, some companies identified this problem area and they built an antivirus that, if you want to safeguard your laptops, install these antiviruses in your laptops. Now what they did, again same thing, they identified a problem statement, they built a solution which was antivirus. They started marketing it, advertising it, and then when people were downloading it, they were directly charging the users the fees that you could download and use our free software, but our free software does not come with all the features. It will not give you 100% protection. If you want 100% protection, then maybe upgrade to our plans. Okay, a lot of music related or OTT platforms now does this. They all work on subscription level, that they will not give you all the features for free. Maybe they'll give you some free trials and then start charging you money. So those are all product based companies. They identified a problem statement and then they built a solution around it. Okay. Now, usually the company that is trying to build the product, they try to make it customizable. Okay. So what is meant by customizable? For example, if you take a look at this notepad, I see three options at the top: file, edit, and view. Suppose a customer comes up and they went through the entire product and then they tell the company, hey, you know what, I don't want this view feature, can you just give me file and edit? I don't want view, I don't think view is of any use to me, so why should I pay for the entire product and then not use certain features? So what the product based companies usually try to do is build a customizable application or build a customizable product, so they can charge based on features as well. That maybe if you want to use file and edit, you will have to pay $20. If you want to use file, edit, and view, then maybe you'll have to pay $25, something like this. So they'll come up with pricing strategy as well. So the company that is building the product tries to make it customizable. Okay, so that they can work according to feature by feature. Okay. Now, some of the customers, if they come up and say that, hey, I don't want save feature within file also, then maybe we as business analysts can go back and tell them that, if you don't have save feature, how are you going to save these notes? Where are you going to save these notes? Okay, so which actually brings us to the third part, that is, as a business analyst, what are we supposed to do in this case in a product based company? So business analyst could be involved in majorly two type of activity over here. One is called the product development, that is building the actual product. So you will you will get requirements from different places. One is like keeping yourself up to date with current market trends. Then you would be receiving feedbacks from the bus operators, like in case of a bus ticket app, like bus operators will give you feedback, customers will give you feedback. So you can use those feedbacks as input for improving your software. You could also study these market trends. Plus, your ability or your experience in terms of product management as well. Okay, your experience could also include the experience of your team as well. So you could either be part of product development, core product development, that's only focus is worrying about how the product will look like. Or the second type of work that could happen in a product based company is for the client implementations. Okay. Now, some of the businesses which are directly used by customers, for them the second part may not be applicable. Okay, because I am building a bus ticket app. I have built the app and now my customers are directly accessing it and using it. Same thing goes with antiviruses as well. I have built an app and now my customers are directly using it. So those client implementations may not be applicable over here. But when another business is using this app, so for example, if you guys have done any coding during your college time or even school time, or even nowadays, if you are involved in any coding, then some of the power commonly used apps like Power BI, Tableau, okay, they don't come for free. Okay, there are some charges or there is some licensing cost that one need to pay to start using these softwares. Now on a day to day basis, probably you and I will not be using these softwares. Okay, but IT companies, they use these softwares. So for example, Power BI is developed by Microsoft. So Microsoft is developing these tool, but then Microsoft is not going to use. Different companies like Accenture, TCS, they will be using these tools. Okay, so there is not direct end customer, but businesses are using this tool in between. Now, when you have such cases where businesses are using these tools in between, then you could have another type of work here, that is client implementation. So, as a business analyst, what you will be doing, suppose if someone from TCS comes to you and asks for that we want to use Power BI in our company. Now, give us an overview of Power BI, what all things Power BI can do, what all type of data it can handle, how it will work, what type of training programs you have on Power BI, what type of certification costs you have, how can we customize this app. If Power BI is offering 10 features, I don't want all 10. I want only 6 features. Only 6 seem relevant to me. So as a business analyst from the client implementation side, you should have thorough understanding of the product. Okay, plus what can be customized and what cannot be customized, because a lot of time these companies will ask you many questions. So but this is not a big chunk of the work. Okay, for a product based company, the major chunk of the work is with product development. Okay, that is the core attribute. But because they don't want to disturb the team that is involved in product development, so they have another implementation team. Okay, so wherein they will have a business analyst. So if suppose TCS or Accenture is giving a feedback that I'm using your product, and maybe certain features are not easy to use, or maybe there is some bug in your product, they will give it to client implementation team, and this implementation team will convey it to product development that hey, there is a bug in our product. They will fix it and then move the changes accordingly. So as a client implementation team, you should have thorough understanding of the product. If you are going to join a product based company, you must understand whatever their offerings are in detail, plus which part of the product can be customized, cannot be customized, what can be changed, what can be provided as additional features. You must have complete details around it. It should not happen that customer is asking for what does this undo option do under edit, and then you don't have any idea about it. Okay, so as a client, from the client implementation side, we work with the businesses to give them a walkthrough of the entire software, make them understand the software, make them understand different features, and then if they have, while they're using the software, if they have any more customization requests, any feedback, any defects, then report it back to the product development team. Okay, understood so far? Now then we will move on to the second company, and that is where most of the opportunities in the IT industry lie with us. Okay, so eventually, and you can see the product development work is not an easy thing. Okay, thinking about coming up something, thinking about fresh ideas may not be everyone's cup of tea. So a lot of time these product development related roles, they require a good amount of prior experience already in terms of product development, and that is where most of the people, what they do is they start their experience with the service based organizations. So what happens in case of a service based organization? So service based companies, what they do is, rather than trying to build a product and then find masses, what they see is, let me identify people who are looking for IT solutions, but then these people don't want to do the work themselves. Okay, it could be because of any reason. Maybe they think that IT could prove to be an overhead. So rather than I worrying about hiring IT people, paying them salaries, getting the work done, managing benefits for them, giving them insurance and all that stuff, I will just give them some money and then let them do the work for me. Okay, so what service based companies do is, for them the problem statement is identifying clients which are looking for IT work. Okay, now when you identify such type of clients, then what you do is you give them a proposal that whatever your problems are, how am I going to solve your problems, and how much time will I take for solving your problems, then how many people will be employed in case of designing a solution for you, then how much money will I be charging you. So once you submit all this proposal, you meet with client, you convince client that all's all's good, it is all in your best interest, then maybe what happens is you get to sign an SOW. Okay, now once this SOW is signed, then what happens is you set up a team, and the team starts working for the client. Okay, so here the major idea is, whatever product we are building is not owned by the service based company. The product is owned by the client. Okay, so client actually tells us what type of changes are needed in the product. So there are majorly two ways in which whatever product we are building for the client can be changed. So one is client does all the research, it identifies the recent trends, it identifies what the customers are demanding, how the industry is changing and all that stuff. And then it comes to the IT company that, based on these recent market trends, this is how we want to change our product. Okay, so client comes up with changes. That's the first part. The second part is, maybe if if client is not coming up with changes, then maybe I could use my experience. I could get to know about the product in detail, and then maybe I can provide recommendations of doing better work. Okay. I as in, let me call it as IT company, because the idea may not necessarily come from a business analyst only. It could come from the developers, QA, anyone who is part of the project can actually give that idea. Plus IT company recommendation on improving the product. Now, if client really likes your idea, and they give you a go ahead, because eventually we are only giving the idea, and the reason why we are giving the idea, so that if client likes the idea, they will provide approval, and if they provide approval, we will get more money. Okay, so service based companies, it's all about getting more and more money from the client. So if client approves the idea, they will pay in more. If they pay in more, we all will get some chunk of it. So companies, IT companies, service based IT companies, they will get more money. You as business analyst who has given the idea will get probably career growth, promotions, okay, better salary hike. So these are the majorly two ways in which you can actually make changes to a product. Either client themselves coming up with changes, or the IT company giving the recommendation to client on how to make or improve the product. Now, why I am focusing on the second part is, as a business analyst, we try to, whether you are in product based company or whether you are part of a service based company, what we as business analysts must try to do always is understand the product on whole. What is this entire product all about? What kind of problem, whether it is for the general public in case of IT based product based company, or whether the product serves a specific client. Okay, what is the general idea behind that product? What type of problem is it trying to solve? Okay, how that product works in general. Because once you have a good understanding of the product, it will be easy for you to identify any pain points or pain areas in the product, and consequently you'll be able to give recommendations. Okay, this is not rocket science. I'm sure you guys must be doing this on a day to day basis as well. Okay, suppose you take very simple example. uh, Before Ola and Uber came in, what we were mainly trying to do is, we were trying to use public transport for commuting to office. Maybe you will use buses, maybe you will use metros, so that you can commute to office and save some money as well. Then later on, what people realized is, it is good that we have such mechanisms available to save money, but then it is not time effective. In today's world, the more weightage is given to time. If you are able to save time, maybe you will be able to gain more knowledge or utilize that time effectively in some other things. So when Ola Uber came, naturally people started using Ola Uber, those cab services. so that you can use more direct service and reach to your office maybe in lesser amount of time. Then COVID came. What happened? Again, it changed our thought process that why rely on Ola, Uber also? Why can't I have my own, vehicle? It doesn't have to be a four-wheeler. Maybe I can buy a two-wheeler also. And then maybe I can use it much more effectively than how we use public service transports or even these taxis or cabs as well. Okay, so this is a very natural process to human beings. Look for ways to improve the way we work. So that's the same thing we will be doing as business analyst also. But the thing is, before giving any recommendations, before giving any suggestions, we must have thorough understanding of the product. Okay, what advantage? Because normally when you give recommendation, client will immediately ask you, what advantage will it give to me? Okay, suppose, and most of the time client is asking for you the advantage in terms of money savings. So if you say that, hey, right now, for example, let's say we are building something similar to Redbus. So if you say that, right now clients are coming to you offline, they are not ready to come to offline because there are other ticketing apps available, so everyone is going there, so you are losing on business. So if you go online, you will also be able to attract those customers, and you will not lose on businesses and revenue as such. Okay, now when you work in a service based company, there is a constant interaction with the client. Okay, now this constant interaction helps in our overall personality development, professional growth, plus the rapport building. Okay, why service based companies usually have a business analyst, so that someone could look after the client's requirements or needs. So this constant interaction with the client will actually help you build rapport, will not just help you get requirements, okay, but will also help you build rapport with the client, will also help you improve on your professional growth. Now, because there is constant interaction with the client, so you need to have certain skill sets, okay, like facilitation skills. How do we conduct meetings? How do we improve upon meeting? How do we ensure that our meetings are more and more productive? How do we ensure that we keep learning new things? And what are the different type of learnings that we must go through? What type of leadership skills we must possess? Okay, so we think that a meeting is very simple, that you go discuss the idea and come back, but that's not the end of it. Okay, what we also have to ensure that when we are going to any meetings, how are we ensuring that our meetings are more and more productive? That's where the experience comes in. Okay, maybe as a fresher you will go blank face to meetings, that let me go to the meeting and let's see how the meeting progresses. The moment you gain experiences, what you do is you try to set up the agenda first. Before I meet someone, let me decide why I am going to meet that person, what will be my discussion points, so that I can keep my meeting focused and targeted towards those specific points only. So once I am done with discussing all those points, then maybe I can chit chat with the person, spend some time on building rapport as well. So those all interpersonal skills also have to be there. And in tomorrow's class we will try to look at some of the common skills that are needed in anyone who wants to work as business analyst, what those skills are, and then probably how could you work on acquiring those skills. Okay, Now, I'm not saying these skills will come to you overnight. Some of you could already be there in you. Some of it may take a while. But once you know what type of skills are needed, you can always continue to work on those skills. Okay. So there is lot of interactions, and these interactions require certain degree of skills. Okay. Just to make sure that you are making maximum use of it. So I'll give you a small example. Suppose you go to meeting with client. Okay. Now you did not make any note. So you discussed with client on the requirements. Client is sharing you some requirements that they want to build, let's say, a food delivery app. So you are discussing on certain requirements with the client. Now once your meeting is over, what you did was whatever you discussed, you had a very good understanding of it. Now what happened is, next day you forgot few things in it, like what was discussed in the meeting with the client. So now because you forgot few things in the meeting, what's your next option going to be? So your next option is, whatever I have forgotten, let's say you forgot few things. What would I do? I would reach out to client again, that hey, I know we discussed few things, that's what I could recall, but then I don't have complete, or I don't remember things completely, that how did it all work. So can we connect again so that you can provide me more clarification. Now client will be happy to do that, but remember at the same time, client will can get irritated also, that they can question you, why did you not make notes, whatever points we were discussing. Okay. So what could be a different approach to do this all together is, when you are discussing with clients on requirements or any type of requirements, how about we record those meetings. Okay. Now why I'm saying recordings and not notes is, if while meeting with someone, while talking to someone, if I start making notes, I am keeping myself distracted. I am less focused about listening to what the other person has to say. Okay. Now people can parallelly listen and make notes. I'm not against that. But in the starting, it is always better to record your meetings. Okay. Record your meetings so that you will always have these recordings as your first reference points. If you forget anything, you can always look back in recording. Okay, so that you don't have to, in case of forgetting things, you don't have to reach out to client. You will always look into the recordings first. Second thing is, while looking at the recordings, if you get more questions, if you get new questions, if you require more clarification, you can reach out to client for those new stuff. So that way client will also be in a way happy that this person is not reaching out to me for the same thing that we have discussed. This person is reaching out to me for asking new things, and that way you as business analyst are also able to do your work effectively. See, one simple act, just recording your meetings, nothing fancy in it, and you are able to safeguard yourself from any flag, that is criticism that may come from the client, that you are not attentive, you are not listening to me, and blah blah blah. So you can save yourself from all of it, because you now have now have recordings. You can use these recordings and refer to these at any point in time. Now, some companies may have certain restrictions that these recordings may not be available forever. Maybe at certain point in time, due to uh, maybe availability of unavailability of storage space, or maybe effective use of storage, they don't want to keep these recordings forever. So what I will do in such cases is, once my recordings is over, I will refer to those recordings and make my notes. Okay. So that way, even if I lose access to recordings, I know I have my notes available. Okay. Plus, how it helps is, making your own notes will actually help you get to a point very quickly. See, in recordings, if you have 1 hour long video, you don't know in which specific part of the video you will find some information, so you will have to go through the entire video, maybe fast forward it a bit. But it's not easy finding information in a recordings. Okay. There is no search feature, at least as of now, in the recordings that you do on the on these collaboration apps. So if you have your own notes, like if you listen to recordings and prepare your own notes like how I'm doing over here, so what could happen is, you can search for any items in these notes. Plus, even if I look for pointers like product based company, because it is my handwritten notes, so I'll be able to easily identify what I am trying to say over here. Okay. For someone else it may not make a lot of sense, like what you are writing half, I am only able to get half of it, but for me it will make more sense, and that is the purpose my notes are for, my use. So the second thing that you can do along with recording these meetings is prepare your own notes. Okay. So now you don't have yourself distracted. When you are going into meetings, you are completely focused on listening what the client has to say. You are not trying to make notes parallelly, so you are not distracted. You have their full attention. Sorry, they have your full attention. And also you'll be able to ask better questions when you are completely focused on listening. Okay. So try to record meetings, post recording, prepare your own notes like how we are doing in the classroom. Use these notes and then get to the point where we will have a detailed requirements in place. Okay. So you see, one simple point, constant interactions, how this could be covered, how this could go against you, and then one simple act of recording and making notes could put things in your favor as well. Any questions so far? So are you guys able to follow along?
Yeah, Rahul, what if we meet the client in person?
So that's the best part. If you are meeting someone in person, it's said that you'll be able to remember things as per human psychology in a better way. So, but jokes apart, if you are meeting someone in person, try to have that meeting in a conference room. So in conference room, you will have these recording devices available with you. So in meeting client in person means an onshore opportunity or an on-site opportunity, which is shrinking with every passing day, because a lot of clients are now, focusing on building offshore onshore model. So it will be more of through these collaboration apps. But even if you get to meet them in person, then how a doctor does. Okay. So you, when you are talking to them, you will try to make quick and crisp notes accordingly. Okay. So you don't try to keep a pen with you and then try to make notes every time. But if you visit any doctor, see what they will do. they will ask you for the problem, what your problem is. Then they will try to make a note of your problem. So you see, when they are writing, you will take a pause for a moment. Okay, let them write. So the same thing happens here as well. When you are meeting with client in person, one, you have better chances of remembering things. Two, go prepared with your notes. Okay, maybe you can use notes, like maybe you can use whiteboard available in the conference room. Maybe you can use your own notepad if you don't have access to a conference room, so that you discuss the agenda items, the points with the customer. They will also get to know whether you are writing down the exact points being discussed or not.
Yeah, Rahul, one more doubt I have. Like, can we record with our mobile the
Well,
conversation
I
between clients?
well, that is not usually advisable, because again, mobile is a personal thing. So, to be honest with you, as long as you are recording and you are not telling anyone, that is completely up to you. You are all good over there. But in case if you want to use the recordings on your mobile phone for any of the professional items, like suppose if you get into an argument with client, that client is saying, I never gave you this requirement, from where did you get this requirement? And you come back and show your mobile recording, that this is the mobile recording I have, where you clearly showed told this particular requirement. Now that could go in a completely different way altogether. Client could feel that you are violating their privacy, all that stuff. So we don't want to go to that path. As long as you are using recordings for your own purpose, good, you can use it. But then my advice will be, don't get caught in such cases. If you want to do recordings with your mobile, then it is always advisable that you take consent from the other person, that I don't have any recording method as such, and I don't want to lose on to the information that we are going to discuss over here. So can I use my mobile phone for recording this information? Only if the other person gives you the consent, then we should proceed forward with recording on phone. Otherwise, you should only be using company approved collaboration tools for recordings.
Yeah, okay, Rahul.
Now let me give you guys some examples, because that's the only part left. So for example, a product based company. You all know Microsoft, Facebook, any antivirus companies that you can think of. For example, McAfee, that builds this antivirus products, Norton. There are plenty of them. Okay? If you look at Indian companies, Paytm, Flipkart, they all are trying to solve or build their own product. Okay. Now, when it comes to service-based companies, there could be companies ranging from small, which have few employees, to a lot of employees. So, companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, they have product development part as well, but they are mainly known for the services that they provide to the clients. Okay. Accenture and so on. Like these are some of the large scale companies which have huge chunk of employees. There are a lot of companies that are operating at small scale, serving maybe 5, 10 clients. But the list for these companies or this set of companies keeps on going. Now, most likely in the starting of our career, to get the launch pad, we expect some service based company to be uh, to be our launch pad. Why? Because usually you will get a good uh, atmosphere over here. So what I mean by the atmosphere is there will be people around you to help, plus a direction will be coming from the client on what is needed. Now naturally I'll go with my own skill sets as well, but I don't have to worry about how the product should look like and stuff, or what the new changes should be. The client is going to come to me and share those details. Whereas in my product development or product based company, sometimes I will have to do some ways like market research, okay, conducting surveys among the customers to get to know what type of features should be added to the product. So it is good to get started through a service based company, gain some experience. I'm not saying I'm not against product based company, but get some experience about product development. What are the different stages involved? What could be the different challenges involved? See, going through this entire training program, understand one thing, that we will be focusing on business analyst part. When you start working in any organization, you will also understand challenges from the development side. Okay, what could potentially come as challenges when you are trying to build a particular software. So when you get that complete experience, that is when you can actually think about moving to a product based companies as well. So tomorrow what we will do is, since we have been talking about these products a little, so we will look at pre-project activities. That is, how do we get to a stage where these the client is connected to the organizations. Okay, so what happens before a business analyst actually gets to do the work? So we will look at pre-project activities, then we will look at IT team structure, how teams are structured. So these will be the topics for the upcoming classes. Once we have understood the pre-project activities team structure, then we will deep dive into history of BA, how this history of BA was, or role of BA was created, what are the general expectations. Then we will cover SDLC, and while we are covering SDLC, we will look at what is expected out of a business analyst at every stage of a software development life cycle. Okay, so what they are supposed to do in every stage. If you can remember what they are supposed to do in every stage of SDLC, you don't have to go through a different topic of roles and responsibilities of BA. If anyone asks you what are the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst, you can just remember the SDLC cycle, and in every stage what is business analyst actually doing. So that way you will remember the software development cycle plus the roles and responsibilities of BA both in one session. So tomorrow we will start with pre-project activities. What happens? How does this client and the IT company actually connect with each other? Once they are connected, then only the role of business analyst and all these people come into picture. So once these two are connected, then how a team is structured, then we will look at history of BA and SDLC. Okay, so any questions? Final 5 minutes for questions from you guys.
Rahul, I have one question. For example, in
Yeah.
the starting, you have showed me three tabs on the top, like File, Edit, and View.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this question was actually asked in one of the business analyst interview. So the interview asked, there is a tab, a view tab here, and there are two VPs, one is A and one is B, and one VP is asking some options to be added in the view tab, and VP B is asking, no, we don't want this option because this is cost effective for our company. So business analyst as we, what would be the approach? We cannot say yes to A or no to B also. How should we handle this kind of situation?
Okay, so I'm assuming that this both VPA, let's call them Vice President A and Vice President B, both are from the client side. Okay, so probably in such questions, what you start is both are from the client side, A and B. So I'll try to bring in a consensus between the two. So how do you bring in consensus? How do you ensure that both are on the same page? So ideally, to be honest with you, but we cannot give this answer in the interviews. I don't care if they are on same page or not. They should talk among themselves so that they know what is best for their company. They cannot come to me and then assume that I'll try to bring in peace between both of them. But uh, assume that for some reason they don't want to be on same page. They don't want to discuss among themselves, but they have directly come to meeting with me. So how do you bring in consensus? So one is you understand their requirements. Okay, so from VPA perspective, what is the requirement that you are actually looking for? From VPB perspective, what is the requirement that you are looking for? Forget about the cost part for a minute. Just let us focus on the requirements. What is it that you actually need from this software? What is your demand out of this software? So one, can we fulfill that demand, whatever you are putting forward? Now bring both of them. If you remove the cost part, and if you can bring both of them on the same page, that from a requirement perspective, are you guys both agreeing that this is what is needed from the software? If both can get on the same page, then you bring in the cost part, that okay, whatever your requirements are, in order to fulfill those requirements, we will have to add a new feature in view tab. Maybe I'll have to add another option to fulfill your requirements. If both of you agree that no, our new requirement doesn't even talk about adding a new feature in the view tab, then probably we don't need it. So end of discussion. But first thing is, maybe they're thinking from cost perspective, but as a business analyst, I'm never worried about cost. Okay, I'm getting paid from my company. My company has given me a job of interacting with client and maintaining good rapport or balance between them. So when I go to them, I talk from requirements perspective. What is it that you want to achieve? If both of them can come to the same page in terms of what is it that they want to achieve, then we talk about the second part, whether we need that feature or not. So once you know their requirement, then for us it is easy. Okay, in order to fulfill, suppose if one is saying I don't want this zoom option, the other person is saying I want this zoom option, and me as business analyst, forget about whether you want zoom option or not. Let us take a step back and tell me, what is it that you are looking for in your software? Do you want your software to have ability to zoom in the words written, or zoom out, or do you want to keep it at 100% only? I don't want to maximize or minimize these fonts. So if you don't have any such option, then probably the simple answer would be, in our product we will remove this zoom option. But if both of you agree that there could be some old age people in our company who may want to zoom in into how this text is written over here, so yes, we both would like to, in order to serve those people, we would like to have Zoom option. Or maybe if it is about old age people, is there any way I can increase the font of this? Okay, is my software capable of increasing font of it? Suppose for some reason I don't have such capability, like I cannot increase the font at all. The only option I have is Zoom available. So probably you guys need to have a Zoom option. But first of all, what your requirement is. If I can bring both of them on same page in terms of requirements, why they want to have a particular feature versus why they don't want to have a particular feature, without worrying about the cost in first place. Now, after getting to know their requirements, even if they're still arguing that no, I want this, I don't want this, then probably it's not me who is going to make a decision. If I am in product based company, I can happily take their inputs, go back to my manager, say that I'm part of product based company, so I get to decide what will be there. Okay, I'll take the best call available. But if I am in service based company, then I can only try to help share more insights with you guys. But then you will have to be the decision maker.
Okay,
Okay,
Ram, thank you. Yeah.
but yeah, your answer will have to be more specific to your industry. Suppose if you are part of a service based company, then probably you don't have to talk about the product based company aspect, that I get to decide the features. Your answer will be more specific to service based company. Like, I will try to bring in, like, I'll take a step back and try to understand from requirement perspective what is it that they are actually looking for, and then connect their requirement with the feature, that whether the feature is going to solve their requirements or address their requirements or not. If it is going to address their requirement, we will go ahead with that feature. If that feature is not going to address their requirements, we don't need that feature. But first bring in consensus in terms of what is needed. Okay, any other questions, guys?
Yeah, generally, Rahul, in client meetings, how many people will be there from the client side?
Well, nowadays it is mostly, I would say, somewhere between 1 to 3. So they have also segregated their work. So there will not be many people from the client side. Somewhere between 1 to 3. They understand that the more people you have, like how Manu was asking that question. So the more people you have, the more disconnect will be. So better to have one person, one decision maker, who will be passing on the instructions or feedback to the business analyst. So one decision maker, but yeah, you could include other people. For example, suppose if it is going to be a solutioning meeting, client wants to be a part of solutioning meeting, so you invite client, and then you will invite your technical architects and dev lead as well to discuss the solution. So those could happen, but from the client side, usually it will be 1 to 3 people. Mostly in that case, also you will be seeing one person only.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So what we will do, guys, is we'll connect tomorrow again at the same time. We'll go through our next topic of pre-project activities. Okay. Thank you everyone for your time. We'll connect tomorrow.